Ahead and get started since it's 12:15. Thank you for joining us for the 2022 program series, Living Well Wednesdays. My name is Erin Tynan, and I'm the Family Consumer Science Agent in Pottawatomie County, and I will be your host today. Our Living Well Wednesday is a virtual learning series hosted by K-State Research and Extension, Family and Consumer Science Professional, and Family Consumer Science professionals from across the state. Many of our topics will touch on a wide variety of essential skills that empower you and your family to live, work, and thrive. Before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping rules. Please be respectful and open of others throughout the presentation. Feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box and comments into the chat box. The Q&A box does have a feature where you can anonymously ask a question if you're more comfortable with that. Our monitors are agents Leah and Melody, and they will make sure to go over the questions at the end of the presentation. Today's session will be recorded and posted to our Living Well Wednesday webpage along with additional resources. You will be able to find all the future and past programs on our website as well, which is KSRE Living Well Webinars. Lastly, a friendly reminder, our Living Well Wednesday series will discuss a new topic every second and third Wednesday in January, February, and March over the lunch hour. Be sure to check our Living Well website for additional details in registration and topics. And just a friendly reminder, we do acknowledge that KSRE is an equal opportunity employer. Therefore, we do not discriminate against anyone. So if there's a special request or concern that you need to allow for you to attend our programming, please reach out to us. And then we want to thank our presenter, LaVerne Williamson, for joining us today. Oh, sorry about that. Just a little info on LaVerne. Oh gosh. Sorry about that. She is an employee and relations engagement specialist for Kansas State University. She's an alumnus of Kansas State University and joined Human Capital Services in 2019. LaVerne has been instrumental in presenting training opportunities across Kansas State to enhance engagement, employee morale, and principles of community in the workplace. LaVerne is energized through empowering employees to build meaningful relationships that effectively resolve workplace disputes. It is LaVerne's core belief that all employees should experience a sense of value, appreciation, and respect in the workplace. With that, I will turn it over to LaVerne.
All right, thank you so much, Erin. I believe we have a poll question. All right, so this poll question that you all can respond to is: appreciation is just as important as pay in the workplace.
It looks like we have about 85% of our participants who have participated. So we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll end it and share the results.
All right, thank you.
So if you haven't made your choice, go ahead and make it now. All right. And here are the results.
Wonderful, thank you. So looks like we have about 45% that says they strongly agree that appreciation is just as important as pay is in the workplace. Thank you all so much for participating in that poll. So I am so excited to be here with you today. I absolutely love extensions and so grateful for the invite today. And I get to work with extensions quite often. And I always like to say that extensions is the hands and feet of Kansas State University. I am so grateful for all of the amazing things that you do and the knowledge and the resources that you take to communities that would not otherwise be reached. So I just want to say thank you to Extensions for all that you do and all of these meaningful topics that you bring forth every month. I also want to give a quick shout out to my Human Capital Services family. I am so grateful for them, from our vice president to our associate vice president and our director of employee relations and engagement, along with all of my colleagues in HCS. I can truly say that I would not be able to come and have such a meaningful conversation with you about languages of appreciation in the workplace if I was not experiencing it and the unit and overall HCS where I work. I am so blessed to be able to have colleagues who are just a force of positivity, and I get to show up to work every day, my true, authentic self, feeling as if I'm being heard and seen and also valued and appreciated in the workplace. So I'm just so grateful for them. So today I'm really excited because I get to share this book with you. Some of you may have seen or heard this book. It's called The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace by Gary Chapman and Paul White. And I just want to share a few of the jewels that they have in this book. And when I read this book, it really changed the way that I saw how to appreciate others in the workplace. And I know it's just human nature. We are all inclined to show kindness or engage others or to do deeds and share words in the way that we would enjoy them, right? So that's just pretty much common to who we are as human beings. And what I absolutely love about this book is they really share some wonderful tips about how we can really engage and actively listen to our colleagues, our supervisors, our employees, which will help us to build some more meaningful relationships and help everyone in the workplace to feel that dignity, right? And to feel as if they belong in the workplace and that they are appreciated. So some of today's goals that I'd like to share with you during this conversation, we want to explore the differences between recognition and appreciation. What are those differences? Also, we want to discuss the primary ways employees like to receive appreciation, because we'll find through some of the excerpts from this book that it's quite different from person to person. I want to share some practical ways to express value and appreciation in the workplace. And then lastly, gather some tips on how to be effective when expressing that appreciation. So whenever I'm thinking about appreciation in the workplace, I always go back to the golden rule. And I know whether most of us, whether it was when we were younger or older, somewhere along we've heard this principle, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that's a wonderful principle, right, to live by. But what I found, and that I love that the authors in this book do, is they take it a step further for us. What they do, they say, how about not only we do unto others as we would have them do unto us, but how about we do unto others as they want us to treat them, as they want us to do. And so that takes us into a whole different frame of mind. Once again, it's easy and it's comfortable to love and to engage with others and appreciate others in the way that we want to be appreciated, right? In the way that we want to be engaged. But this book, it really stretches us and reminds us more so about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I always think about that when we show up in the workplace, we show up with our different value systems, right? We show up with our different experiences that we've had in life, our joys, our sorrows. We come into the workplace as a whole person. And that's what we need to see each other as a whole person, not just the person who's doing the accounting, not just the person who's doing the training, but the whole person. And when we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, within that, under that love and belonging, that's kind of where that thinking about how we appreciate each other and how we embrace each other in the workplace and treat each other, that's where that falls under. When we're thinking about recognition versus appreciation, we know and understand that recognition is so positive, right? We all in some way within the workplace want to be recognized for the good things that's been done, whether it's holistically as an organization or as your core team or unit, or as an individual. Recognition is always good. But the great thing I find is there's some distinctions between recognition versus appreciation. So recognition really focuses on performance or the achievement of certain goals, whereas appreciation, it focuses on the value of the individual. And that's really important to really just kind of to see those distinctions. Also, recognition focuses on what the person does, whereas appreciation focuses on who the person is. So appreciation takes recognition to a whole nother level. It helps us to really build relationships and see people who they really are. Once again, holistically, who they are. Just for example, so for someone who within the department handles the finances or the accounting piece, recognition would be, yeah, you got, the numbers were all spot on, everything looks good. Whereas appreciation would be really sharing with someone, thank you so much for your dedication to what you do in accounting. Thank you so much for your integrity, always making sure that the numbers are correct and making sure that we as a department, that we are being good stewards of the finances that we've been entrusted. So that really speaks more to the person's character when you're talking about that integrity and that dedication. So once again, recognition is wonderful and it's positive, and we want to continue doing that. But we also want to take it a step further, and we want to really go a little deeper and tap into how it is we can build relationships with people and really focus on the good that's coming from the individual. When I think about workplace appreciation, it's really important for us to understand there are some positive things that come out of organizations that really hone in on, we're going to cultivate what it means to have appreciation in the workplace and make sure that everyone feels value. Studies show that when appreciation is really made a priority in the workplace, you see improved employee performance. You see increased engagement. People are really wanting to be a part of the team. You see decreased turnover. Just even as the poll that we did earlier, seeing how over 45% that responded said that they strongly agree that appreciation is just as important as money. So there are people who will leave their jobs that's making good money, But if they don't feel valued and they don't feel appreciated, that's a reason why some people do leave organizations. Also, appreciation improves staff morale. When you come into the workplace and you have team members who are always cheering you on and who are always, once again, like I said about my colleagues in human capital services, there's such a force of positivity that builds the morale on the team, and that really emboldens and embodies just what it means for people to really feel valued and want to show up every day. Once again, when you feel valued and you feel appreciated, it frees you up to show up as your true and authentic self. Also, workplace appreciation, it drives greater satisfaction and fulfillment from work. So ultimately, people are much happier in the workplace when they know that they can show up every day and they have some level of appreciation. So some of the prerequisites that I like to talk about when we're thinking about appreciation, it's very, very, very important that appreciation is authentic, that it's relevant, consistent, and timely. These are so important foundationally for appreciation to be productive. When we talk about authentic, you want, whether it's in word or deed, you want to be authentic in whatever it is that you're sharing with that colleague or that employee or your supervisor. It needs to come from a good place, and you want to be authentic with that. Also, it needs to be relevant, and we'll talk about that a little bit more during our conversation. But depending upon the individual's language of appreciation, you want to make sure whatever you're doing, whether it's word or deed, that it's relevant. Because if it's not relevant, if I'm a person that I thrive off of positive words but you go forth in your language and maybe it's an act of service or a tangible gift, it may come off like, oh, thanks, that was nice. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that before. You gave someone a gift and it didn't quite seem like it landed well, and you thought it was just the most awesome thing that you could have done. And I've learned that, well, it wasn't that the gift was bad or something was wrong with sharing the gift. It was just maybe I wasn't quite in tune with that person's language of appreciation. So it's not that they didn't appreciate it. It just didn't meet the mark because maybe it wasn't their language of appreciation. And also, lastly, timely. So if your coworker, they work on a project for several months and everything comes out wonderful and they are just an absolute rock star, and you never just say, hey, congratulations, just a nice word, or a card or something, or whatever their language is, if you never give any acknowledgement to that time, that effort and their dedication, and 6 months down the line, it's like, hey, yeah, that thing you did, yeah, 6 months ago, congratulations on that, great job. That's definitely gonna miss the mark. So when we think about it being timely, it's so important. If that appreciation is going to be impactful and if it's going to be productive, you want to make sure that you're appreciating that person either in the moment or in close proximity to whatever the situation that has happened. Two other things that are foundational to productive appreciation that I believe are core are connection and empathy. And I'll talk about connection here first. It's so important that, once again, as we're thinking about appreciation, that we're thinking about relationship building and really connecting to people on a deeper level in the workplace. Once again, they're not just that title that they have in the workplace, but they're a whole person and deserve some level of relationship building and connection. So I love Dr. Brene Brown. She is just an excellent researcher, psychologist who really helps hone in on what it really means to connect with people, what it means to be vulnerable, what it means to show empathy. And I absolutely love her quote where she says about connection. She says, I define connection as the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. So I don't think the thought process of connecting with people in the workplace could be put better than this. And how powerful is it that we could all show up to our place of work and feel like, I feel seen, I feel heard, and I feel valued. Next would be empathy, which is so important, where we're able to move outside of our thought processes and ourselves and our judgments and be able to step into someone else's shoes and feel with people. Because when we can connect and we can feel with people, that's going to help us to better able to really be cognizant about the other person's language of appreciation. That's going to help when we connect and have empathy. That's going to help us care more. That's going to help us to be more sensitive about really beginning to speak another's language. So I'm going to share this video with you concerning empathy. And Dr. Brene Brown in this video, she makes a comparison about empathy versus sympathy and how empathy really has a greater impact.
So what is empathy and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. I had it, yeah. And we do it all the time because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
All right. I absolutely love that video because once again, it's about connecting with people on a deeper level and being able to utilize that empathy, regardless if there's a situation where you have the answer or not. You're just being able to sit with that person and being able to utilize that active listening and let them know that, hey, you know what? I'm here for you. I value you. I see you and I appreciate you. So grateful for the work that Dr. Brene Brown does. So we'll get to here now, just jump into the 5 languages of appreciation, which I find so important that these authors have brought forth. I think no matter who you are, we all in some way fall within one of these in the way that we would like to be appreciated on some level. And it's not just one, but we can, they can go in levels of priority, like, maybe quality time is at the top for you. And then next it might be tangible gifts. So it's not necessarily just one, but there's at least one that you strongly identify with. So these 5 languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, and tangible gifts and physical touch. So when we think about words of affirmation, Paul White and Gary Chapman, they do a lot of research with organizations, just really along the lines of appreciation and motivation in the workplace. And over just some of the studies that they did, more than half the people who they did research with, words of affirmation was at the top. And this is where that we are able to really show appreciation to others through the words that we express, whether it's verbal or whether that's written. So when we think about words of affirmation, I want to give you a few tips to make affirmation meaningful. It's always helpful to always use the person's name when you're sharing something that you appreciate about them. Remembering and sharing their name, whether it's one-on-one or in a public setting, that means, I believe me when I say it goes a long way when somebody remembers your name. Include details about the notable behavior or action, that you're saying, hey, this is wonderful. So what are those details? And share why it's important to you or the organization. So that person really understands that this isn't just surfacey words, but you really gave some thought to why this is meaningful, to them. Deliver the praise once again in a timely fashion. So making sure that it's either in the moment or in close proximity to when an event has happened. So some tangible actions that we can look at with words of affirmation. And I want to make sure today that you know that when we're looking at these languages of appreciation, it's not about these grand gestures that you have to do. These are really just small acts of kindness and gestures, things that you can do on a daily or weekly, monthly basis that really makes people feel like they're appreciated. So I don't want you to think that it has to be these grand things that you have to do. So for tangible actions, acknowledge someone's effort on a project in a one-on-one meeting, just sharing how much you appreciate what they've done and what they've meant to the project. Give a compliment about their character or personality, like I shared earlier about someone in finance or accounting, just saying thank you for helping us be, for your integrity and helping us be a good steward over our finances. Send an email or a chat to thank someone for a job well done. As we know, words of affirmation, it's wonderful when it can be done face to face, but as we know, we've been in some unprecedented times, and so sending an email, or many of us using Zoom or Teams or whatever technology method that you're using, it's so nice to have that chat pop up and somebody have something so positive or nice to say, whether it's good morning, I hope you have a wonderful day, good morning, hoping your presentation goes well. That means all the difference to those who words of affirmation is at the top for them. Publicly acknowledge hard work or dedication in front of peers. Some people are more, they just, it's nice to get kind words one-on-one and privately, but there's others who enjoy public acknowledgement. And that doesn't mean that there's arrogance or anything like that. It's wonderful to be able to be recognized and be able to celebrate with others. So some like more so that public acknowledgement. And also you can utilize a written note or a card sharing thanks. Some people still love just getting a card in the mail and just having some words there to say thank you. So those are some tangible actions that can be done when you're working with someone whose words of affirmation is kind of their top language of appreciation. When we think about quality time, I love this quote by livelifehappy.com. It says, the best gift you could ever give someone is your time, because you're giving them something you'll never get back. And that's so true, right? In the hustle and bustle of life, whether it's family, whether it's with work, things are always moving, right? Life is always moving, and life continually gets busy. And so for someone who has quality time at the top of their language of appreciation, they really do know that sometimes it may be a sacrifice for you to give that time. So that means all the world to them. So that's so important. So a few tips to make quality time meaningful with others. Really want us to think about quality conversation. And so thinking about making sure that we're giving people good eye contact, right? When they're sharing their story, when they're sharing something with us at work or sharing something personal, and making sure there are no distractions. I know in this day and time, maybe just someone coming to your office and you're in the middle of something and they're, hey, come on in, and they start talking and you're still typing. I just want to encourage us to step away for a second and step away from our phones. That can be a distraction, whether they're beeping or sounds are going off. And it really helps people to know that, wow, this isn't just a passing by conversation, but I'm actually having a quality conversation with my colleague. And this is really filling my cup, because this really is quality time to me. And being that active listener is absolutely important. We want to engage through shared experiences, and how amazing and impactful is it to be able to share some experiences with coworkers. That is another way that you can really find that connection with each other. And also creating safety and space for small group dialogue, where people know that they can come and have conversations. They can sit with you and have those conversations, and you may not agree, but you both are respectful of each other, and you're respectful of the space and the time that you give each other. So that's very important when we're thinking about quality time. Some tangible actions would be meet up for coffee or lunch. Once again, doesn't have to be anything expensive or extravagant. It's about the quality of the time. Go for a walk. When we were on campus before some of us went remote, my team, we would walk around the pond at K-State, get out and get some fresh air together. And that would mean the world on days when we were having a hard day or a heavy situation happening. We're getting out and just walking with each other. Maybe attend an event like a sporting event, nothing better than a K-State game, right? That has a way of bringing us together when we can cheer for our team. Maybe even just a phone call or stopping by someone's office, not to make a request, not needing something, but just to say, hey, just popping in to see how you're doing, just wanted to say hello. And that means a lot when it's not necessarily you're coming to request something, but you're just coming to say, hello, want to see how you're doing. And also for some employees who have quality time at the top for them, one-on-one meetings and check-ins with their supervisor is very important. So supervisors out there just want to be very cognizant and in tune with your employees and what their language is. And if quality time is one of those, try to protect those times where you have the one-on-ones and the check-ins, because when those things are canceled, and we have to do that sometimes, just ensure that the employee knows that you're going to reschedule and that you're going to reconnect, and make sure that you follow up, because that is their language of appreciation. So when we think about acts of service, this is pretty much gestures that show our coworkers that we care about them, not only by telling them, but showing them through our actions and deeds. And how beautiful is it to live a life of service where we look to help others and to be a service to our coworkers in the workplace. So some tips to make serving meaningful. It's very important to ask before you help. That is important because we can get into a zone or method where we start assuming, hey, maybe this person needs this, or maybe they need this help. And then we find out that maybe that wasn't so helpful what we did, but what that person needed was something totally different. So I encourage you to ask before you help, and not assume what that person may want or need. And assist in the way that they need. It can be very easy to jump into a task, right? You're ready to serve. Here I am. I'm going to help out. And then we start doing things in our way and engaging in the way that we would want to be engaged and helped. But once again, asking not only can I help you with this, but how would you like for this to be done? It's so helpful. And also just serve with a good attitude. When that individual feels that you're serving them with no strings attached, it's not you serving them and knowing that, hey, now tomorrow I'm going to need a favor from you, but that you're just serving from the goodness and the kindness of your heart. That means all the world to employees who acts of service is their language of appreciation. So some tangible actions would be review or edit a presentation to be submitted. It's nothing like having to put a presentation together and thinking, oh my goodness, do I have spelling errors? Does this look right? What do the graphics look like? And being able to send that to someone and they look over that for you. That's an act of service. Assisting with a computer issue. I don't know how many times I am not a tech savvy person, and so one of my peers is always like, hey, let me jump in, let me help you out with that. So, and that means all the world. When your technology is not working and you don't know what to do, and someone steps in and say, hey, I think I may know how to fix that. That is amazing. or staying a little late to help someone finish up a project. I mean, once again, that's acts of service, but also even that goes into that quality time, showing someone that you're willing to kind of go the extra mile to make sure that they're successful as well. Offer to be a backup when someone is on leave, or as simple as, once again, this is not big, grand things, ordering needed supplies that someone needs in the workplace. So it can be the smallest of things that really resonates with someone. So when we think about tangible gifts, once again, not super extravagant things, but some of those actions that we can do as relates to tangible gifts. Food is always something big in the workplace, right? Anytime someone brings food, people get excited, people get happy. So if tangible gifts is their language, someone bringing in some snacks really has a way of lifting their day. Investing in someone's interest. Maybe someone in the workplace, they love sports, or someone loves gardening in your unit, and you bring them a book or magazine about that subject. That really shows them that you've taken interest in what they're interested in. Maybe a supervisor allowing an employee some needed time off after finishing a big project, or grabbing an employee, one of your coworkers, their favorite coffee or tea to start the day. And for those of you who need that caffeine early in the day, that is one of those things that's very excellent if somebody brings your favorite cup of coffee, or just giving a gift card to your favorite place. Lastly, physical touch. And this is one of the ones that the authors were very clear that they did not want to leave out, because it's very important that we connect in all ways, because we are human, and it's important not only in our personal relationships, but also in the workplace. So, and as long as, and what's important is that this is appropriate physical touch. So tangible actions, pretty much the way physical touch would look in the workplace, would be a high five when a project is completed. So it's more like celebration, a fist bump when a problem is solved, or a handshake to say hello when meeting or congratulating someone on a job well done. So regardless of, whether it's words of affirmation, tangible gifts, or whatever that may be, they are all important. And it goes back to building those relationships and actively listening, hearing that person, and being able to tap into something a little deeper that we can do to show people in the workplace that they are valued and that they are appreciated. So lastly, I'd love to give you just a few tips and recommendations on how to implement the languages of appreciation. So for one, read or share excerpts from the 5 languages of appreciation. This book is next to my desk at all times. I can't tell you how much I refer to this when I'm talking to supervisors and employees. So this is, oh my gosh, this book is so excellent. So share this with your coworkers and share this with your leadership. Complete the language of appreciation quiz, and we will be able to send that all to you after this presentation. But there is a short quiz that was created by the authors, and what it will do is help you to really either confirm or define what your language of appreciation is. And not only do it for yourself, but once again, introduce this to your coworkers and to your leadership. And then maybe you all can do it as a team, and then you can really share and dialogue about your languages of appreciation. And also, I think it's important you want to invite your team members to share what appreciation looks like to them. Once again, it's going to be different, and different is not bad. So we want to just be able to invite people so that they are comfortable to say, hey, you know, words of affirmation, that's the thing that really resonates with me. And lastly, I'd love to encourage you to visit appreciationatwork.com. And there are free resources there created by the authors. There's a blog on there, and there's other assessments that you can do about your language of appreciation. So there's also some things on there that have a cost, but there's also a balance of things that are free on that website. So I'm hoping that today that you have found this conversation helpful. And I just want to say that I'm rooting you all on as you strive to connect and build meaningful relationships and show each other that you are valued and that you are appreciated. Thank you all so much for having me today.
Well, thank you, LaVerne. That was wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to compose this program. And I think everybody's learned some different tools that they can carry into their workplaces. We encourage you all to complete our survey by using the QR code that's on the screen. This will be sent to you right after and is also available on the Living Well website. And I'm not sure if you're keeping up with the chat, but we do have a couple questions. So I will let our chat monitors kind of ask those to LaVerne.
Hi, this is Leah Robinson. And one of the questions that came in is sometimes when staff are shown appreciation, such as lunches, bonuses, t-shirts, etc., they start to expect things and forget that this was an appreciation gift. How do you prevent that with staff?
Can you read that one more time for me?
Sure, sorry. Sometimes when staff are shown appreciation, such as lunches, bonuses, t-shirts, etc., they start to expect things and forget that this was an appreciation gift. How do you prevent that with staff?
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that question. I really think ultimately it's about having that conversation. And as we continue to create that environment of appreciation and value, then I think people will really begin to understand that these are things that you just began to do naturally within the workplace. And it's not necessarily that something, because, you know, it's not something that is ultimately expected, but it's something that we want to do because we want to serve, because we want to make each other feel valued. So really just kind of having that conversation with your team about the culture that you're building.
The next question that came through was, how do we find out our love language? But I feel like you go to where you said the appreciation quiz, the appreciationatwork.com, but I wanted to have you go ahead and say that one more time to make sure that is correct.
Yes. And we'll be sending, I believe Aaron someone from the team will be sending that out to you all. So you'll just be able to take that quiz and share with others. And also you can go on to the website Appreciation at Work. It's one word, appreciationatwork.com. And there's some resources there with assessments.
They also want to know what your language of appreciation is, if you're willing to share.
My language of appreciation is definitely words of affirmation. I believe words are so powerful and it can just make a person's day. And so I thrive off of words and positivity. So.
Well, thank you. It was very interesting. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, was that all for the questions?
That's all I saw, Aaron.
Okay, great. So just a few more pieces here. I did want to remind everybody, it was posted in the chat, but we are giving away the book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace by Gary Chapman. So we're just going to do a random drawing for everybody that attended today, and you will be notified via email if you are a winner of that, and we will figure out a way to get that sent to you in the mail. We do hope that you continue joining us every second and fourth Wednesday. The next program will be on the Mind Diet in Walk Kansas 2020, and that'll be February 23rd. Lori and Sherilyn there will be our presenters for that. And lastly, if you would like more information on this topic or other additional resources, please contact your local extension agent. If you're not sure where your local office is, you can find it by going to ksre.kstate.edu, and you'll be able to hover over your county and find the location of your local office. Thank you again, LaVerne, and thank you everybody for attending today, and we hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.